Well, trust me, everybody, it might be a quiet weekend, but that ends Monday, because Monday could be the biggest day, literally the presidential campaign, and I will tell you why. It's because we should get not one, but two rulings. Come 10 o'clock in the morning, the court expected to hand down a pair of closely watched landmark decisions, both of which expected to be close, contentious decisions, could be 5-4 either way, and both could change the election landscape. First up, President Obama's ambitious health care reform law, more commonly known as Obamacare. The court could overturn just the individual mandate. That's part of the law that requires everyone to buy health insurance. Or the justices, they could overturn the entire law, or they could uphold it. I've heard all different versions of everything from 6-3 to 5-4 of all three different varieties. Now let's put aside the specifics of what could happen to the law or the healthcare system come Monday and focus on the political implications. Dom, I'll start with you here. If the thing gets turned down, I've heard some arguments to say it's a blow to Obama. I've heard other people say this is the best thing that could happen to Obama. How do you read it? What is the White House rooting for one way or the other?
Democrats may not like what I'm about to say, but there's no denying when Republicans charge that he is the chief campaigner in chief.
I think I heard it this hour, by the way.
That's when Obama is at his best. So when he goes around talking about the student loans, if they vote it down, that's good for Obama because he can rally against Republicans and guess who at the top of the party. So if the Supreme Court votes this down, the mandate or overall completely, it gives him an enthusiasm to travel America and rally the people that are not part of the political process and bring them in.
You buy that? You think Bluff and Axelrod are hoping? Well, what are they hoping for?
I think they'll campaign on it. I think they want it upheld. I think they'll campaign on it if it winds up being overturned. But to me, it provides a little bit of credence from the court to the stink that Republicans have been trying to put on the Health Care Reform Act ever since it was enacted.
So you think it helps the GOP more than not?
Yeah, I think both sides are ready for it, but I think it helps the GOP more.
No win for the Supreme Court.
This was his self-described largest policy achievement. So it's going to make it really tough for him. What is the basis for his reelection? And Peggy Noonan actually had a great column on that today. But even part of it, if it's the individual mandate or the whole thing, it's going to be very difficult to campaign when the economy is doing terribly and your largest policy achievement is just shot down.
And I think the answer that you say will either be, from the perspective of the public, agreed with or not, based off of how they view the high court. And I think before, you know, Florida, basically with Gore v. Bush, okay? Before Florida, the Supreme Court, people may not have loved every decision, but they view the court as an independent branch. Fairly or not, after Florida, people now throw, at least many people, the Supreme Court into the political landscape. And they say, well, he appointed him, he appointed her. At the end of the day, they're in his or her camp here, and their decisions are politically clouded. And I think another issue will be the controversial Arizona immigration law. That law, sometimes called the Papers, Please law, that requires police to investigate in the states that have this, including Arizona, the immigration status of anybody they stop if they suspect that the person might be an undocumented immigrant. Basically, it's an eye test for the police who they decide looks like an illegal immigrant. Now, most court watchers expect an all or nothing decision on this one. Either the court will validate the entire law or throw it out completely. And again, it comes down, Jessica, to how do people look at the court? On this one, I think, if they uphold this law in Arizona, then I think it's going to hurt the GOP more than it helps them. I don't think Mitt Romney wants to run on Jan Brewer's experiment in Arizona here, and he's going to be forced to say, are you with her or not here, that you want to give unfettered powers to the police here to basically be, you know, police state here in Arizona to decide who's an American.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you even saw Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who's a Hispanic woman and viewed as very liberal, saying to one of the federal lawyers that his argument wasn't holding up very well. So I think at the end of the day, people have great respect for the Constitution. I haven't seen any recent polls on, you know, people's opinion of the Supreme Court, but I think the core issue here is that there's a failed immigration policy, and it's a serious issue that we need to do something about.
But there's a big but with the Supreme Court. You can't focus solely on the questions that any particular justice may ask, because they know that the pundits will spin to evaluate what their reaction may be. And sometimes they'll ask a question intentionally just to throw off the experts. So, you know, Justice Sotomayor may have asked that question, but it doesn't mean she's going to come down that way. It's going to be very interesting.
Upholding the law helps Obama on this one because upholding the law doesn't gain the GOP any votes, but it certainly does rally the Hispanic base for President Obama. So advantage Obama if they uphold the law.
You know, I got to tell you, I don't think you can overhype it. Short of the conventions, okay, because everyone's going to forget what happened before that till the conventions. This is going to be the biggest day of the campaign that we've seen so far, what happens Monday and how the two camps pivot off.
Will we have coverage on RFL Monday night?
I think we're going to talk about this Monday here, or Dominic's Big Weekend, either one.